Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, let me start this video. I won't say slowly, but let me give you a little background really quick here. If you watch my channel for any length of time, you probably heard me talk about empathy. Okay, I've always felt that I've had a strong sense of empathy. Empathy, I guess, a quick not definition, but it's the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, to be able to kind of feel their emotions, to walk, to get a feeling, to understand how somebody else is feeling. That's just a quick, off the top of my head definition. Initially, I've always felt like I've had a sense of empathy. I've always felt that very strongly, but I didn't want to say that for the longest time because here's the ridiculous reason why too. I always felt that it was kind of feminine or wishy-washy because empathy sounded like sympathy, and to have sympathy or be, this is really how I used to think years ago. I didn't want to look, unmanly or anything, so I didn't talk about empathy. It's really doesn't have any. It's really not that closely related to sympathy, and not that either one of them is feminine. It's just ridiculous. But you've heard me talk about, and nowadays I really don't care what anybody thinks if they think something I said sounds feminine anyway. Because I'm 58 years old and I couldn't really care less what anybody thinks. Anyway, I've talked about empathy a lot, and I really feel like I try to have a strong sense of empathy. This takes me to yesterday. This has happened more times than I can count. When two Caucasian guys are standing by themselves, and one of these people has a more bigoted view of the world. A lot of times, people will say things between each other that they wouldn't say to other people, like people of color. So I've heard this. I'm part Native American, but most people will just, I've heard this several times. And I was talking to a guy about my age yesterday, a little older than me, probably in his 60s. And he espoused this view that he doesn't believe that he's racist, but he thinks that, that Caucasian men and women should date Caucasian men and women, and black men and women should date black men and women, all the while claiming that he's not racist. And, I just kind of, when people say stuff like this, I don't argue. I really want to let them feel comfortable. So, I don't agree with them at all, but I want them to feel comfortable so they keep, I'm curious, as to why they think this and, let them feel comfortable so they keep spilling their guts. So I really try to understand this narrow-minded view. And this is the honest, I'm not trolling here. I'm not bragging. I'm not stating something that I think I have or trolling other people. This is my honest opinion. People like this, like the gentleman I talked to yesterday, I think a lot of times they'll blame it on like God meant it this way, or Darwin, or evolution, or the Bible says, or some crap like that. But honestly, trying to put myself in this guy's position, like why would he feel like that when he looks at a couple that's interracial? Why would he feel like that? Put myself in his position. Why? What's the feeling there? Why would And this is what I truly believe. Like I said, and I'm not trying to troll anybody or say that not trying to do that. What I think when somebody like this looks at, say, a black man and a white woman, a Caucasian woman together, they get the feeling that this guy prefers, or this woman prefers this guy to him, and that I think he has a feeling he doesn't have self-confidence. He feels that she should be attracted to him. I think basically that's it. That there's a feeling of jealousy or envy, right? And I think it goes even deeper than that. Because we all know, we've all heard these things, and most people don't talk about this, but I truly believe this is what it comes down to. I believe it comes down to the size of a guy, and I truly believe that a lot of these guys that have this kind of narrow-minded view are probably on the smaller side, or have less confidence, that they're lacking, and that secretly this woman desires this guy because it'll satisfy her better. I honestly, you know what? I think most people honestly know this in the back of their head, especially guys. But nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to, nobody talks about that. But I think that's what it really comes down to. I think a large part of racism and this kind of mentality, this kind of reasoning, the guy that I talked to yesterday, is a lack of self-confidence. That they're afraid that women, that they think that a Caucasian woman is rightfully theirs because they're Caucasian, the woman's Caucasian. So for her to be attracted to another race is like a slap in his face. And I really think that it's a lack of self-confidence. Whereas other guys, other open-minded people will just see love between two people, and why would that bother me? That's their business, just like two guys or two women. Love is love. Why would I get upset because two people love each other? It's none of my freaking business. So I try to put myself in somebody like this position, and I think a lot of people just don't want to say this, but I think that's what it really comes down to. A lot of these guys is their lack of self-confidence in their size. There it is. I said it. And like I said, I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm all that or other people are less than that. But using empathy, this is what I come up with. It all comes down to a lack of confidence. And I think, honestly, a lot of the wars and the mayhem and the violence and everything else in this world comes down to insecurities. That's why I don't mind having a woman president, because I think that there's a lot of insecurities in guys that something like this, and it's caused a lot of violence and mayhem throughout the history of the world, not just the country. Let me know what you think. All right, have a good Sunday.